Hey y'all, thanks for tuning back into Chickanic. I hope everybody's having a great week. Man, I hope you are a subscriber and seen some of the crazy things I posted this week that I saw at the shop. This was the dirtiest air filter I have ever seen in my life. And we serviced this mower last year. I asked the customer, what are you doing? How could it possibly be this dirty? And he had no clue. He said, I wash my mower off thoroughly, every nook and cranny when I get done using it. Well, I can tell you that is not what you need to do. Stay away from your air filter assembly. Do not immediately wash your muffler off, things like that. You can do some serious damage to your engine if it's too hot, or if you keep getting your air filter wet and it starts collecting that dust and debris. Also, check out this spark plug. We had a customer had us pick his riding lawnmower up because it would not start, but he said when it wouldn't start, he tried to change his spark plug and knew that it was feeling way too hard to get into his head. Well, unfortunately, he cross-threaded it and broke the tip off of his spark plug, and it is somewhere inside of his engine. So we're going to go into that and have to replace the head. We probably have a used one around the shop somewhere that we'll give him, but that's crazy. Make sure you put it in with your fingers first. That way you know that it's going in correctly and you do not mess up the threads in your head, because that is one expensive mistake. So if you would, become a subscriber and you'll be able to see some of the crazy things that come into the shop every week. Okay, so it is tiller time. You need to go and check your extremely neglected tiller that has not ran since last year and see if it's going to start this spring. I did do a video on a Mantis tiller. If you have one of those and you need to know how to put a carburetor kit in fuel lines, I will leave a link right up here. I brought home a customer's Southland mini tiller to go over today. It won't start. Now, Southland, Powermore, and Earthquake all have a very similar design. So if you have any of those brands, it's pretty much going to be the same across the board, so this video will help you out with that. All right, so let's see if we can get her started. All right, so that is my gallant effort at trying to get this thing started. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna dump this old fuel and see if that's it. Hopefully it is, because it did act like it wanted to pop off, but I don't know, so we'll check it out and see. All right, we're gonna give her the old smell test. That's disgusting. It's actually not priming very well at all. All right, so I'm gonna make this a little short learning moment right here. Earlier, when it had the old stale fuel in it, it was priming fine. And then I put my gas in it, and even though I'm a good 1.5 inches from the bottom of the tank, it was not priming well, and you would assume that something's wrong with the carburetor, but actually if you look inside the tank, the fuel filter, don't know if I can get it to focus in on that, but the fuel filter is actually still sitting out of the fuel. So this fuel line is not long enough to reach the bottom of the tank, which I think this is, stock from the factory fuel lines, which is not good for it to not be reaching the bottom of the tank. Whenever you do replace fuel lines, make sure that you have it to where it is laying down in the bottom of the tank. So we need to put some more fuel in there. What can I say? Gas prices are high. I was trying to be skimpy. All right, do over. We are going to choke, prime, and we have primage again. That's all I got. So I'm gonna pull the plug. I'm gonna see if it's wet and fouled out or flooded, make sure that's not my issue. And then next we go into the carburetor. All right, so here's where I'm gonna save you a ton of frustration. In my past videos, I'm very adamant about telling you that you need to purchase OEM carburetors when it comes to the Stihl, Husqvarna, and the Echo 2-cycle carburetors. That's because I've seen a serious decline in quality over the last few years. I don't know what it is. I'm just telling you that 50% of the time you put it on a machine and it does not work. It doesn't matter how much adjusting you do, it does not work. So I have stopped completely buying aftermarket carburetors when it comes to those brands. Now, when it comes to the Earthquake, the Southland, the Powermore, these are already made with tons of Chinese parts anyways. They're made all over the world, from Germany to Mexico to China to everywhere. They're just a conglomerate of Chinese parts that are put together somewhere else, and you already have a Chinese carburetor on it. Now, if you go to buy an actual OEM, Earthquake, Southland, or Powermore carburetor, you're going to spend upwards of $80 on a carburetor. It is almost the same exact carburetor as an aftermarket that you can get for $12 to $13. I have used them on everything, and I can tell you every single time I put one on and it immediately works. So I can stand behind saying that these aftermarket carburetors are exactly the same as the ones that come on it. All right, we're gonna pull the plug because I did try to start it with the old fuel in it first, and if it was not firing correctly just because it was old fuel, then we know that it might have fouled the plug out, so. And it's dry as a bone. It was not getting any fuel at all. Now, the majority of the time, if this is your personal use tiller, you know that it was running fine when you put it up, and it purely is a gas-related issue because it sat for a period of time without being used. If it is a tiller that you don't know any history on, always check the compression and make sure that it does have, you know, a good pull to it, or if you have a compression tester that it has at least 100 pounds, you pretty much want 120 pounds though. So we're gonna go and take off the carburetor. We're gonna remove the air filter cover first. Oh, that is one nice air filter for one of these. Usually they just have a little piece of foam there. So Southland, good job on the air filter. And we are going to remove the 2 hex nut bolts right here. Now we're going to remove the fuel lines from the carburetor, but before you do that, always pop the cap on your fuel tank. That way you release the pressure and it doesn't geyser gas out at your face. There we go. You got to break that dry rotted seal. There we go. All right, so we're going to want to remove the carburetor from the throttle cable, but to do that, you have to get the throttle cable wire out of. There's a little barrel cylinder shape at the end of your wire that you need to get out of this channel first. Now we're going to push back on this plastic piece right here, but there's still a plastic little chunk right here that we have to turn this sideways so that that cylinder shaped barrel will come out. So we're going to you really need 2 hands for this. Turn it sideways and then it'll pop out just like that. Awesome. Now we can unscrew the carburetor from the throttle cable. All right, so I got my aftermarket one right here. I'm going to put a link in the description box below so you can get your own if you need to. They actually come with extra primer bulbs, fuel filter, fuel lines, tank grommet, carburetor mounting gasket for like $13. It's completely worth it. I stand behind it. If you need one, get it. So let's throw this on our tiller and see if it's going to work. I know you might say you don't want to order anything and support China, but the fact is pretty much the whole tiller is made from Chinese parts. Okay, so we're going to screw on our new carburetor to our throttle cable before we hook it up and mount it. What? What is going on? The threads are different. Oh, them shady little monkeys. Okay, so I'm going to change the throttle cable mount bracket out with the old one. All right, I'm not going to let these manufacturers screw with me. I took the new bracket off of the new carburetor, and I'm going to put the old one on with the correct threads. As you can see, they're exactly the same. They just decided to put different threads in there to make it hard on us, but I'm still getting this customer a cheap carburetor. All right, do over. We got the old carburetor bracket on the new carburetor, and it should screw right on now. All right, round 2. Oh yeah, there we go. We're gonna bring it back to this clean spot right here where we know it was mounted before. One more turn. We're going to tighten that down, get our throttle cable back in our little groove here. Now one side has a cylinder shape, and that's the side that you're going to want farthest away whenever you try to put this in, because the other side does not have the cylinder shape and it'll just pooch out the end. So we're going to put the cylinder shape away from it, turn it this way, and stick it in that slot. Now see, it's still pooching out there. We're going to turn it sideways like that, and it'll go into its hole. Perfect. Now let's check it, make sure that it's working correctly. Good clearance. And we can hook it back up. Now with the new carburetor, you cannot use the old carburetor mounting gasket because, as you can see here, the hole that's down here does not line up. Now on here, whenever it was before, oh, got it backwards. The hole did show up here, but it doesn't line up with this new carburetor. So on the new one, we go right there, and there's the hole that's going to line up with the new carburetor. That way it'll work. Alright, let's see if it's gonna prime. Oh yeah, we got good primage. Nice full purge bulb. Alright, prime choke turned on. All right, do-over. Turn it on. Well, she runs pretty good. So, like I said, just buy the aftermarket carburetors. It's going to work just the same as the OEM carburetor, and it will save you a ton of time, money, and frustration. So, thanks again for tuning back into Chickanic. Please leave a comment. I love to read through the comments, and I will reply to all the early commenters. Thanks, and have a great day.